All right, guys. So as you saw, right, today's session, it was really based on a very basic principle, but a very important one. And this comes from a Bruce Lee quote, right? I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. And this is a philosophy that I believe is very simple to understand. You guys get it. But I think it's and it's not hard, but I think repetition of the same thing, especially when we don't see immediate results in the beginning, we get mental blocks with that, right? And so that's really the basis of what we're saying. And so obviously we're not going to be kicking anybody here, but we are talking about setups. We're talking about trade setups, and we're talking about being able to execute your plan properly, the way you're supposed to, over and over and over and over and over again, so much so that you're probably just tired of doing the same thing. But then you get to a point where you're not so tired of doing the same thing because you know it leads to relatively predictable results. And there's a couple of main things that I want to talk about as we, understand this principle. And I'm going to show you guys what it looks like too, done over time. But the reason I talk about this, and I wanted to really go over this, especially as traders, is because there's this constant chase of something new. I don't know if you guys have ever felt that you want to kind of find the next best thing, right? Has anyone ever have had that desire of having to look for, let me see here, still a little too low. Look for, yeah, right there is good. So give me a second. So what happens is this, look, and this happens a lot in business. And what we do is we start to do something and we don't maybe get the results that we want right away. And so we go and do something different, something new, right? You see this with entrepreneurs. They get into all of a sudden your mind expands into, wait, you can make money online. And then you go and do ATM business, and then you do affiliate marketing here, and then affiliate marketing over there, and then affiliate marketing over there. And then you're doing e-commerce, and then you're doing a million different things, right? Without ever actually experiencing consistency in one place. And so what I want to go over today, and what I'm going to show you really is what the proof of that, right? What that really looks like. So let me see here, guys. Let me get a little closer. So, nah, that's not it. You'd think this would be a little easier, but nah, chops off. It's a part of my head. Just push it back. Just step back a little. So eventually we'll get this. I think it's funny. This is like hilarious to me. But so when it comes down to understanding this concept, it's about one setup. And as traders, what we do is, first you discover support resistance, right? And you start trading kind of like that. And then you discover trend lines, and maybe you start trading a little bit like that. And then you discover head and shoulders patterns, and then you start trading a little bit like that. And then you discover indicators. And this is discovering indicators is one of those moments where it kind of feels like you finally figured it out because something's doing the work for you. Let's see if I get there. All right, perfect. So when we discover indicators, this is kind of that moment where, you have EMAs crossing and you think, okay, when these things happen, then we're golden, right? This is it. This is the answer. Or Fibonacci. You guys let me know. The first time you discovered Fibonacci, how did that feel? You're like, wait a minute. These are golden ratios, right? You get a pullback here, and then you get an extension over there. And so all of a sudden, we start to figure out all of these different patterns, right? All of these different strategies. And we're trying out these different things. And there is an experimentation phase, right? There's a phase where you're kind of figuring out what works best for you, right? What's the ultimate scenario? But eventually you do have to decide what's your signature, right? What's your signature entry strategy? What's your signature exit strategy? What's the one thing you're going to do over and over and over and over and over again until you have predictable results over time? So let's see here. So let me know, what kind of strategies have you guys practiced? You have different educators, you have just different types of entries, right? Different types of exits. And so what I want you guys to understand is you don't need to know them all. You don't need to have every single type of setup mastered. And in my trading experience, in my trading journal, right, for the last 5 years, basically 98% of my entries are based on one strategy, just one. And it's across any pair, any indice, any metals, commodities, stocks, cryptos. It's the same idea. So we don't need to know everything. We just need to be able to do one thing over and over and over and over and over again. And there's a phrase that I heard maybe a year ago or so. And it basically says, the most successful people are the people that are willing to do the one thing, the same thing, the longest without ever thinking, right? They're the smartest person. So that's what I want you guys to understand. What happens in trading is there's a couple factors that kind of take us away from being able to make the same decision over and over and over again. One, sometimes it's just boredom, like the sheer fact of doing the same thing over and over and over again. But two, it's the concept of the grass is greener on the other side. And what happens is you might be going through a losing streak and someone else is going through a winning streak. And so immediately it's like the apple in the Garden of Eden or something, wherever it is. But it's like, hey, in the Bible, God's like, you have literally everything. Like, there's everything. Just don't eat that one apple. That one right there. Just don't touch. Don't. That's it. That's the only thing. Everything else is yours. Everything else is okay. Just not that one. And then where does our mind go to? Right? It goes to the one thing you're not supposed to do. The temptation. And there are a lot of forbidden fruits trading. There's a lot of them. But eventually you get to a point, for example, let's say you trade with me, right? Let's say you've gone through our boot camps and you've gone through our favorite sessions. We have a signature entry. It's like really, really, really easy to duplicate. You can see it all the time. We literally took this trade this morning on US 30, right? That's exactly what we did today. And I'll show you guys what we did. All right. So give me a second here. I'll share my screen. So today we took a signature setup. All right. A signature setup. What does that look like? So we took a setup right here. Now this is in Spanish. But this is our buy zone. Okay. So here we have buy zone. Right there. So right now, if you did take this with me, then you're actually still in this. And we're waiting for our sells to buy to sell. But it's very, very predictable, very simple way of getting into the market over and over and over again. And I'm going to show you exactly what we do. But in this case, right, what we were waiting for was price to get back to where institutions sold off, massive orchestrated sell-off before creating an imbalance. Now, some of you might not know these patterns, or not these patterns, but these ideas, these concepts, and that's okay. That's not the point right now. But last Friday, we got some interesting movement. I'm just going to highlight this real quick so I can show you what I'm talking about. So, all right, let me just hide this there. So last week we saw a very, very aggressive move to the downside. Everybody who was buying, right, retail that had stop loss below these lows, they got liquidated before the market makes a huge push to the upside. So you see how the market pushes down aggressively and then goes up. We never fill this and we never close the sells to open buys. So this happened last Friday. And then, market did its thing, kept going, kept pushing. Amazing. So eventually we needed to get back to close sells to open more buys. Now we get here. And we get here not too long ago. And that's what we would look for. And I'll show you the setup. And I'll show you what we look for. I'll oversimplify it here in a second. But this is what we did. And we took this trade today. And here was the entry. And we're hovering around right now, almost a 4-to-1. Okay. 4 times more than whatever you risked. Very simple setup. Right? Super, super, super simple. And we're looking for the same thing for sells. Right. And so this is a trade idea here for you that I'm taking. You could decide to take this if you want. But now, what am I looking for? Right now, we have a huge push to the upside here. It takes out anyone who is selling. And then we saw an aggressive move to the downside. It confirms lower lows. Now we're bearish. And so we're waiting for price to get over here so that the buys that were left open can be closed and that money can be used for sells to work its way down. Okay. So again, I'm not here to teach you the strategy real quick, but I want to teach you a principle. It's one setup. It's the same thing over and over and over again, right? If I'm looking for buys, I'm looking for the market to basically show me something like this. Again, I'm oversimplifying this. And then when I'm looking for sells, I just want the market to show me something like this. Now, I'm not talking about how long structure needs to be held and divergence and all these other things, but something like this, right? This is basically what we're looking for over and over and over and over again. And our entries, right, would be like right here. Oh, that is just terrible. Let me use something else. Our entries would be basically, let's see here. Our entry would be right here. And then our for buys and our sells would be right then. Okay, pretty simple. Question for you guys. Could you find this on the charts over and over and over and over and over and over and over again? Could you do that? Let me know. Like, I really genuinely want to know. Yes. Okay. Now, if I told you that every single morning, Monday through Friday, for basically 2 hours, we find one, if not two, of these setups every day, every single day, 5 times a week for 52 weeks. So over 250 opportunities in a year. All right, do 250 opportunities in a year, minimum. Does that seem enough? Does that seem like enough opportunity to trade in the markets? And that's just what I'm going over. That doesn't include other educators that look for similar setups at different times, because I'm just looking at indices for the most part. We'll look at forex when it makes sense, but there's other educators that are definitely diving into forex setups, forex pairs, right? Metals, you have cryptos with, so I mean, you have abundance. This is just me. So, okay, we all agree that 250 setups looking for basically these setups. For buys, it'll look like this. For sells, it'll look like this. Now, again, I'm oversimplifying, but What I want you to understand is there is not any scarcity in this market. Now, you guys can take a little screenshot of this if you want. Again, this is overly simplified. There's a couple other factors that we put into play that makes our probability better and our win rate higher and our risk to reward, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's one thing. Now, when we're looking at the market, we want to make the same decision over and over and over again. But here's what happens. Here's what happens. Let's say you lose a trade, 2, maybe 3 in a row. Now, what you're doing is you start to deviate a little bit. Now you have a different type of trade that shows up. All right, let's go here, right? Now you have something different. Maybe you have a friend that trades just imbalance. I don't trade only imbalances, but let's say that someone else comes along and they're like, hey, well, I take a setup like this. Now, you might not have the same proof that that person has, but you might be looking for something different. So let's say, for example, there's a setup that you don't normally take, but someone else is taking it. So all of a sudden, you take it and you win. Nice, right? It's good. It's good. All right, cool. It worked out. But what if you don't understand it, but you're just taking it because you're like, hey, I mean, if this is making money, then why not? But again, it's not your setup. You don't have all those repetitions. So what starts to happen is if you win with a trade idea that you don't understand, do you really have the conviction to take it again? Yes or no? Maybe, maybe not. But the problem is, how does that build your trading plan? How does that build your discipline? Does that give you predictable outcomes? So that's what we want to, that's what we're really doing. When we're trading, every single setup that you take, it's building or destroying your habits and your trading plan. I really want you to understand that. Every single one. Because here's what happens. Let me show you what happens. Let me show you what happens here. This is a slippery slope. So let's imagine we were trading earlier today. All right. And let's imagine that you were looking at the market. Market was here. Okay. And all of a sudden, for whatever reason, you're looking to sell somewhere. Okay. So let's say you were looking to sell over here. Okay. Here's one candle. And then you get stopped out. Dang, right? Unfortunate. So let's say for whatever reason, you get stopped out right here. Here was your stop loss. And you just get, hold up. Here we go. All right. So then you get stopped out. But remember, we're practicing, right? One kick 10,000 times. That's it. Because you want to be able to master the one setup. So if you lose, but now what happens? You're like, well, I think it's going to go my way. Like, I really think it's going to drop. It has to drop. So then you open another entry over here. Why? Because now you're not trading your setup anymore. Now you're trading your direction. Ooh, dangerous. Very dangerous. All right. I guess the camera is not sure what's going on there, but all right. So give me a second, guys. Wait. Yo, Nance, can you check on this camera? All right. So be careful when you start to trade where you think the market's going to go and you're not trading the setup anymore. Right? Be really, really careful with this idea, because what happens is now we're focused more on being right. All right, whatever. This thing is bugging out, and that's fine, I guess. Can you guys still hear me? All right, I'm just gonna do it right here. So now we're so focused on the market going in our direction rather than the setup that we're taking. Now we're married to the bias instead of the setup. And so you have to be able to trust that setup. And I want to show you guys what this looks like, because I think it's better to show you proof than to show you just, an idea, a concept, theory. And so I'm going to show you guys what a losing streak how a losing streak can turn into a winning streak. All right. And I think when we can do something like this, then this is how we become successful, right? This is how things can really turn around. And so let me show you what the power of having conviction in one setup. And if you don't have this type of conviction yet, then this is the problem. So now I want to show you something. This is the month of March. Okay. This is the month of March. And March was following the best trading month I've had in my life. Right. So February was absolutely insane. Those of you on Go Live, you guys know it just ridiculous. Like it just wasn't fair. Like it was just unstoppable, right? We went like 12 days without losing, and we were taking 1 to 2 setups a day. All right. It was just phenomenal. And these were amazing risk reward setups, etc. But I told you, I was like, look, this is unusual. And the opposite can also happen. But what we know is that it's okay. And so then March comes around. We start March out right. It's great. We hit a 3-to-1, our 4 risk reward, and I was risking 0.75%. And cool. So we're doing really well. And then all of a sudden, I want you to notice what happens. Everyone count along with me. All right, here's a loss. 1 loss. Oh, all right. 1 loss, 2 losses, 3 losses, 4 losses, 5 losses, 6 losses, 7 losses, 8 losses. I lost like 8 trades in a row. It was like a 12-day drought. So I want you to look at this, right? I literally just can count it out. Here you go. Right? Look at this. Minus 1, minus 1.75, minus 2.5, minus 3.3, minus 4%, almost minus 5%. So imagine losing 8 times in a row, 9 times in a row. What would that do to your confidence? What would that do? Right. The trades that were winners, you were up almost 3-to-1 during that spell. It turned around, went back to break even. Oof. Oh no. Right. You lost 2, 3 in a row. Now you're up on one of them. You're like, finally. And then it's 3 points away, reverses, back to break even. You made nothing again. Still in a losing streak. And then you lose again and again. And then it happens again. Back to 0. What do you do? Go ahead and try it. So, but here's the thing. When you've practiced a setup enough, you know that there's no power. You have 0 power over when those trades hit, but you know that they do. Because before that, we had just seen 12 in a row of winners, which was also unusual. So the distribution of when they win and when they lose and when you go break even, we don't really know when those come, but over enough sample size, if you look at 50 trades, 100 trades, okay, you know what? I just need to go through this enough, the same setup enough to get there. And look what happens. I want you to see it. So I went down like 5% in a row, basically. And then look what happened. Look how funny life is. And then I just went 3 trades in a row. One, this one was break even. It missed my entry. And this one also would have hit TP, but I just missed the entry by a couple points. But I win 1, 2, 3 trades in a row. And in 3 trades, that was 8.1% with a 0.75% risk. Only 8 trades. I had just lost 8 in a row. But then 3. Just 3. Get us way up. It gets us like 3% in profit. So look at the power. And this is what I want you to focus on here. This is what I want you to focus on. The risk to reward. Loss, 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 loss. Win, win, win. Interesting, right? But do you know why? Do you know why those wins came? Let me tell you why. It's because I literally did nothing different. That's it. It's because I didn't do something different. What happens is sometimes when you're losing, you want to change something. But the reality is you need to know why you're losing, right? You need to know why it is that those trades aren't hitting. And if the answer is a technical answer, then you're okay to trade the next setup. If the answer to that question is not, oh, you know what, man, I was emotional, I got in too early, or man, I chased this one, or I didn't trade my setup, I traded somebody else's, then of course now you're not losing. You're not going to take responsibility. You'll blame somebody else. But when you've lost to the right setup enough, because you've won to the right setup enough, then the losses don't really mean that much. You know you have to lose. You know it's unavoidable. And part of this, right? Part of this is also understanding that trading isn't about how often you win. It's about what's the quality, what's the potency of the win versus the loss. It's about, is it a controlled loss and is it a calculated win? Because when I lost, every single time I lost exactly what I was supposed to. Because when I win, right, in my case, I'm winning at least 3 times more than when I lose. So even though that was 8 losses in a row, I only needed 3 wins to get back in the game and be above. And that's exactly what happened. So think about it. And I want you to understand this, because depending on, and when you have enough proof, you know what your numbers are. So for example, February, I had 70% win rate. And that's hitting TP. And I knew, yo, this is not normal. Considering like we were doing 3-to-1s, 4-to-1s, 5-to-1s, even higher, it was not normal. And so I had to keep that in mind. Okay, you know what? I can't just believe that this is sustainable because I know the numbers. This usually doesn't happen like this all the time. And that's okay. Because what happens is when you get too high, right? When you get too high on the results, when you're so focused on what you're getting, then you start to lose focus on what you're doing. I'm gonna say that one more time. When you put too much focus on what you're getting back, on what you're receiving, it's easy to lose focus on who you are and what you're doing. I've seen this happen to myself, to students over and over and over again. In any business, in any skill set, all the time it happens. So because I've already gone through this, I've gone through having months where you're like, yo, man, 25% win rate this month, man, that was rough, but still made it out on top. Still had a 1% month, minus 1% month. But what happens is, knowing that this is an infinite game, so it requires to think not day to day, not week to week, but just ongoing, just to the next setup. So when March was that hot, I knew, okay, you know what? I'm not going to start to risk more because we've just been killing it. It's like this, and this happens. I don't know if you guys watch basketball, but and this is not including Steph Curry. Okay, everyone in the planet but Steph Curry. When someone starts to get a hot hand, what that means is, like, if they feel like they can't miss a shot, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, yo, get the ball to that guy. That guy cannot miss a shot. So then all of a sudden they start to get the ball to that one person. But here's the problem with that. The problem is that now the person with the hot hand, they start taking bad shots. They're not taking their setups anymore because they feel invincible. Now they have an invincibility complex. So now they're just shooting from all over the field, and then they start missing shots. And it's not that they're not good players. It's that they're just taking bad opportunities. It's because they were doing well, they felt like they were unstoppable. But they were not unstoppable. They were just making good choices, right? They were in flow. But why were they in a flow state? They were in a flow state because they were doing what they knew they were good at doing. That's the difference. And like I said, this excludes Steph Curry. Why? Because he does have permission to shoot anywhere, from literally anywhere on the court. Why? Because he has the track record. They know the numbers. This guy can shoot from borderline half court, and he's going to make it 42, 45% of the time. And that's good numbers for us. So yeah, take that shot every time, brother. Only person on the planet that has literally free range from anywhere on the court. But it's because his skill set backs the setup. So you have to know those numbers for yourself. And here's the thing. Check this out. And I'm going to use sports analogies. They're just easy, and I think they're pretty relatable. But for example, Jimmy Butler right now is Tuma. Actually, it's the opposite. You don't be like Steph. 99.9% of people, you can't do that. You can't take, and I'm related back to trading. 99.9% of people, you can't take every other kind of setup. You can't, most people don't have enough proof to take my type of style of trading to then trade how AWOL trades, and then trade how Brandon Boyd trades, and then you trade in. You're not meant to be different types of people and take shots from everywhere. You want to be a specialist. So you're right. Be like Steph and master one setup, but you got to know what's your setup, and you got to master it, and then you can move forward. But I want to give you an example. Jimmy Butler, right? Right now, it's basketball playoffs, and this man is doing insane things, right? He is him right now. But he's not taking shots from everywhere. He's playing his game. And he's playing his game so well. He's not shooting threes from half court, right? He's not just wilding out. He just gets in the spots, does what he knows how to do really well. And that's how that works. He's playing his game. And that's all that he's doing. And he's just doing it to the highest capacity because this man is in flow state. He's tapped into a high emotional state. So that's what you need to understand right now. Look, guys, it's just you. And you don't have to play 5 different positions. You just have to play yours. That's it. There's a specific role that you are taking because this is your business. Remember, trading is a business. All right, trading is a business. And in a business, people wear different hats. You have the CEO, you have the COO, CMO, CFO, CTO, right? People that are in charge of different things. But the beautiful thing about trading is that there's only one thing you need to execute, right? You only need at least one signature setup. That's it. Just one. And you get good enough with one, you can go really, 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 really far. I'll give you an example, and I'm done. This is my last example with sports, okay? For example, for the most part, there's a player called Klay Thompson, right? And basically what they do is he just catches the ball and shoots it. Like for a long time. That's it. He would just, find a nice little spot, kind of get open. They'd get the ball to him. He would just catch it and shoot it from behind the 3-point. Like no dribbling, didn't have to be fancy. He'd just get kind of open, catch it, and shoot it. That's it. That's it. He didn't have to get fancy. He didn't have to dribble. He didn't have to do all the moves. He didn't have to go and dunk. He didn't have to be, nope. Dude, this man, top 3-point shooter of all time, just catching it, shooting it. That's it. Literally, that's it. So you don't have to be fancy. You don't. You just want to be a master at your setup. And that's what we're here to do together, guys. That's what I want you to do. So what I want you to do from this week till next week is I want you to pick one setup that you're looking for, right? I want you to pick one. And maybe it's the way that I trade. Maybe it's different, right? But I need you to pick just one. And so what I want you to do, and I know I drew this out. Let me go ahead here. And I want you to find these types of ideas. Give me a second. Where is this? All right, here we go. Okay. And again, I'm oversimplifying this, but I want you to go to the market, pick, just go to US 30 or go to your favorite pair that you trade. And I want you to just look for this. And I want you to see this. When your eyes are closed, I want you to see this setup. I want you to dream about this setup for buys and for sells. What are you looking for? Right? You're looking for the market to create some type of support. You're looking for a movement to break beneath that support. And then you want it to quickly recover and then actually make a higher high. You want it to stay there for a little bit and then the market pull back. In that pullback, you'll see a reversal once it's back in this zone. And anywhere in this zone, it's valid to reverse. Same thing with sells. You're looking for the market to build some type of resistance, equal highs, for it to break it temporarily, just to come back and give you a lower low, to then give us a pullback for the market to then make lower lows again. So this is all you have to do. I dropped a link in the chat. If you want to know more, then in my favorite sessions here, you guys can go and watch the video on this breakdown. I have right over here. Let me see. All right. So here I literally have the video on how to find setups. So here's my go left. And I'm overly simplifying this, guys, but basically that's kind of like minimum. So these two videos, these first two show you how to find the setups. Now, your goal isn't to win every time. That's not the goal. That part doesn't matter right now. That's not the phase that we're in, right? We're not in the season of winning all the time. Right now, your goal is to be able to identify these setups over and over and over again. So in the chat, let me know where are you going to be looking for this? Where are you going to be looking for this? US 30, NASDAQ, Euro USD, USD JPY. So that's all I want you to do is if you're doing indices, you can go to the 1 minute time frame and pick a random day. Go to your birthday. Just do that. So go to your birthday. So we'll go here. My birthday is the 23rd January. We'll go over here and look at that. Look at this. Come on. I can see it. Look how quickly I saw that. Literally instantly right here. Here's where it was. Here was the buy. Like it took me a nanosecond to see that. This were birthday pips right here. Textbook. Exactly. So go to this. You can go to the 1 minute, whatever time frame you want, and just look for it. If you're indices, the 1 minute will give you an abundance of setups. If you're looking at forex, metals, crypto, 5 minute, 10, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hour, all of those will give you. But I want you to do that, and I want you to document. Just literally, okay, here's the setup. Cool. And you just want to see, this is what we call back testing. And that's it over and over and over again. And the difference is going to be in the risk to reward. That's really where the difference comes. Because you're going to learn how to lose. Sounds weird, right? It's like, why are we supposed to be winners, man? Like, what are you talking about? Like, don't I have to have a winner's mentality? Like, take no losses, you know? But look, this is not sports. This is not your, CPA. This is not the LSATs. This is not the SAT and the ACT and all the acronyms in the world. You're not playing a game that ends. You're playing an infinite game. And so we're here to stay in the game, to be able to take another trade. That's what we're doing. So and this is how you work your ego. This is how you work your ability to let go and get better at losing. Because here's the reality. Let me ask you guys a question. If you're trading 0.5% risk, how many trades do you need to lose for your account to go to zero? All right, so not 1%, half of 8%. 200 trades. In my experience, over 8 years of trading, I've never, ever seen somebody lose their whole account because they lost 200 trades more than they won. Ever. But I've seen thousands and thousands of people blow accounts, including myself. It wasn't because I lost the right way. It wasn't because I lost responsibly. It was because of something else. So most people, think about this. Just think about your own experience. Have you really lost because of how much you win compared to how much you lose? Or did you lose because something else got in the way? Risk percentage, over leveraging, no stop loss. Stacking entries. And now different types of trading accounts have different types of risk, right? There's different requirements, but I just want you to understand, right? I want you to understand that the problem might not be the setups that you're taking. The problem might be that you don't trust your setups enough. So And I've given you this challenge before, but I want to see it again. Here's the only challenge right now. Everybody, doesn't matter if you're a veteran trader, especially if you're a veteran trader, actually. I need you to take your setups, whatever it is, you know your stop loss, you know your risk percentage, set a strict risk to reward. So I'll give you the rules. I'll give you the rules. Here are the rules. I'm gonna write them down in the chat. This is what we're gonna do. Actually, I'm gonna write them on the trading view, and then we'll wrap it up with this. So these are the rules to this week. You guys got homework. Got Professor Mago, and I'm giving homework. But the good thing about this homework is that this builds you income. So here is Professor Mago's homework. Oh my God. All right, check it out. Okay. So this is all you're gonna do all week. It's really simple. And this might take you a month, but this is what I want. This is what I would do, right? This is the goal, objective. Right, here's the objective. Take 25 trades without breaking trading plan. That's the objective. I'm going to give you the rules though. But this is it. It's not, this is could be 2 weeks to a month. Rules. Risk 0.5%. Stop loss always. Re-entry never. Take profit. We'll do 2 risk reward. And that's it. Entry, your strategy, and your strategy only. Here we go. Actually, I'll do 1 strategy. And then set stop loss management rule. So decide how you're going to manage your stop loss when you move to break even. And then once you've decided that, that's it. So this is it. And this is all you can do. Nope. It's up to you. Partials. All right, hold up. That's a good question. I don't take partials, so I didn't even think about it. Partials. Up to you. Decide and don't go back. Now, this is the whole, this is it. What you will realize if you've never done something like this, what you're going to realize is that your problem probably isn't your strategy. It's that you just can't follow it. You can't follow it for 10 trades even. You got in early. Trade number 6, you got in early. Start again. Trade number 3. Stop loss all of a sudden just was wilding out. I don't know where it went. I lost it. All right, start again. Trade number 9. You lost 2 trades in a row. You took a trade off of hope, right? You took a third eye trade. Got to do it again. So this is the challenge. This is not difficult. There's literally no, there's nothing that has to do with winning or losing here. Do you notice that? Nothing that I said has to do with winning or losing. This exercise is to build discipline. It's for you to build belief in your plan. All right. Drop a 7 in the chat if you're going to participate in the challenge. And then next week, we'll see who did it. And document your trades. Use whatever you want to use. to do that, but document. If you have the proof, then you're going to be able to do it over time. And if you get to, trade 6 and you break it, start over. And then once you do this, once you do 25 trades in a row and you see how long it took you to do that, then you're going to realize, okay, I'm learning more about what my problems really are. So guys, appreciate y'all for your time. Had a blast with you guys. I'll drop a link right here in the chat to the challenge again. And then I'll also drop a link to the challenge in the Telegram channel where we announce everything. I'll just drop it in there too, so you guys have access to it. And then we'll do it again. And we'll catch up next Monday. All right, guys. So much love to y'all. See you soon. Share this challenge with your team members, and let's trade right. All right. Trade discipline, because remember, this is an infinite game and it requires an infinite mindset.